Welcome to the channel. I'm Kay, and today I am behaving. I have been disciplined into seasonal appropriateness by Cracked and their seasonal behavior collection, which is what we'll be featuring today. Pumpkin Guy is all set and ready to go with all of the 6 polishes that are part of this seasonal behavior collection. But aside from that, I also have the jelly of the month somewhere in here, and also 2 new necessities drop, so we'll be covering all of that. Now, Cracked Polish is the sponsor of today's video, and if you don't know Cracked, they are made right here in the USA. They're 10 free, they're vegan, and they are cruelty free, in case you like to support these things. So with that said, let's get to digging and picking and swatching, and then I'll be back with the good, the brat, and the prugly, but also some more details about this collection drop. You already know the drill. Let's pick out our first, and it looks like we have Berry Basket. We're kicking off the sesh with a Berry Basket, and what we have here is a corally base in a delicious blue color that reminds me of blueberries. Honestly, this is a weird color to me though, because it's vibrantly dark, if that makes any sense, and it is generously seasoned with purple and orange shimmer elements that actually have a pretty neat shift to them, which I'll show soon. You can expect that first coat coverage to be fair, but the second coat was the sweet spot for my medium length nails. Now, the amount of shimmers in that base kind of allows for them to play some tricks on you, because it's almost like the blue base color shifts to purple. But take a look at this view here. I'm a bit further away from my lamp, which allows for a green and yellow color shift to make its way through. So this is something you'll see at more extreme angles in indirect lighting. And now that we've feasted on these berries, let's go polish picking. What will Pumpkin Guy offer us next? It looks like we have Mud Puddle. Who remembers Crack's Chocolate Graham? That one has been discontinued. It was a dark chocolate brown jelly, and Mud Puddle is actually the remake of that one. So what we have here is a jelly base in a cool brown tone. Now, I never owned Chocolate Graham, but based on the pictures I've seen, it looks like it may have been a little bit darker than Mud Puddle. I can't guarantee that, but here I am moving on to a third coat, and even though I'm not really that much into browns, I actually do find this very specific tone of brown to be nice. Like, if I had to wear a brown tone, this would likely be the one, because it is so rich and it gives me a lot of contrast too. It's dark, but you can still register the brown tone. Mind you, I did apply 3 coats, but there is still some visible sheerness to it. It didn't go completely opaque on me, which I appreciate. Picking out our next seasonal behavior shade, here we have Pile of Leaves. Pile of Leaves is a topper, but I do want to show it in various ways. So first, I'm going to be applying it with a brush to see what level of coverage we get in 3 coats. Then I'll move on to showing it off in other ways. So Pile of Leaves, a very fun polish. As you can see, we have a clear base holding magenta, orange, green, and gold flakies that do have a color shift, which we'll see soon. Keep in mind that if you're using this as a proper topper, you'll likely be good with a couple of regular brush strokes, but going in for more coverage will likely require a few dabs here and there. And here is that end result, but I am curious to see what full coverage will look like. So I'm gonna sponge on a 4th coat. Here I am applying the polish to the sponge in the shape of my nail, and then I stretch out the sponge so that it absorbs the clear base, and after that I'm gonna sponge it right onto my nail. Alright, so if we pretend that I didn't leave 2 bald spots, then this is what full coverage would look like. I love wearing flakies like this because it gives an extremely color shifty end result. Take a look at the extreme angle here where the yellow and green leaves come out to play. I think this polish is literal fall fun. However, let me use it as it's meant to by applying it over Mud Puddle as a topper. I think this makes for a pretty cool color combo, but stay tuned because I have more plans for Pile of Leaves in a jelly sandwich with another polish. For now though, let's check in with Pumpkin Guy. Let's dig through for our next polish reveal. It looks like we got a Necessities Drop, so let's check out the cuticle oil. So this cuticle oil can be used daily, which is great because our cuticles need daily loving. Mines get so crusty and dry if I don't oil them every day. They are actually such an annoyingly high maintenance body part you would never think they are. So what we have here is a mix of jojoba oil, sweet almond, avocado, argan, vitamin E, and rice oil. By the way, all those ingredients that I just mentioned are oil ingredients. Now, for anyone who's curious, there is no actual fragrance here aside from a subtle scent of oil, but it doesn't smell bad and it's not in any way strong. It just smells like, you know what oil smells like? It's just a very subtle scent of that. Now, personally, I found the oil to feel no different from the other cuticle oils that I've used, which is a good thing. I feel like it has the same absorbency rate and viscosity and just the overall feeling. So I'm really happy that Cracked is now offering us a cuticle oil. And now that we're oiled up and ready to swatch again, we're going with flower pressing. Next up, we have the prettiest shade ever. Come on, this is like a dream of a polish, all right? This channel, you know, this channel worships the color pink, but I'm also really picky with pink tones. Not all pinks are welcomed into my pink stash. However, flower pressing has my full heart. It is a pink jelly base with a generous hand of pink and rose aurora pigment with a color shift that I will show soon. It's a very delicate polish that I'm pretty sure can work well as a topper, but I fully recommend you try this one on its own because it's just super cute. Look at that end result after 3 coats. I kind of can't stop looking at it. It's so pretty and a little gentle in that, you know, it's not eye searing, yet the color still saturates your nail and makes you want to look at it. But if you angle your nail in direct lighting, notice how a golden color shift comes alive, just adding a little warm angelic touch to this already perfect color. This was such a fun surprise for me because I rarely see these types of pinks being dropped in the fall, but I also think it works really well with this theme and the color story that we have going on here. We still have some polishes left to pick, but I think we should take a corn break. Next up we have It's Corn, which I think that aside from fall was probably inspired by one of the best moments to happen in 2022, and I can tell you all about it. So this polish starts off as a jelly base in a yellow color, topped off with plentiful gold and yellow shimmers. Cracked, you know, they fully committed to yellow here. You might have noticed the sheerness on that first coat. Remember that all we seemingly have here to provide coverage are those shimmers, so be prepared for additional coats. Now, opacity is definitely building up after this second coat, but it was only once I tried it with 3 coats, not butter, that everything changed. I feel like I'm getting way more color payoff. Look at this thing. There is no denying that it has the juice and also a nice shimmery glow that really elevates the visual interest here. Just a great color for fall, but also perfect for spring and even summer. And we're back for more polished treats, and next up in the sesh, it looks like we have Unripe. Unripe. Okay, this is the only magnetic of the collection, which just makes it that more special. It is pretty amazing, you guys, and I'll be swatching it unmagnetized in the lightsaber and velvet styles. We are going to focus on the unmagnetized look first, and what you're seeing is the blending of a deep gray base with forest green magnetic pigments. As I swatch this, I immediately realize how perfect this looks as is. Check out that end result. The magnetic pigment does have a color shift to it. That's why you're seeing some yellow tones coming through as they catch the light. And then when you're in indirect lighting, you can even see some blues at extreme angles. So this forest green is quite mutable. However, in the lightsaber style, we of course expect and do get a completely different look. Notice how moody and enigmatic that gray base is. I currently have an infatuation with moody grays, and this is doing it for me. We get that clean stripe of green across the nail, and then we also see more of those blue tones coming through in different lighting and angles. I do think those colors make a nice duo, but lastly, I want to show you the velvet style where the magnetic pigment rises up as the main character, and that gray retreats to the background, only showing itself at major angles. This polish would have 100% been in my cart. It's fantastic, magnetized or not, and that green color is just mesmerizing. It has kind of like a classiness to it. Reminds me of like an expensive green color. Alright, going back in and digging through for our next polish, which is Hot Honey. Hot Honey is the jelly of the month, and what we have here is an amber color that really does have a hot honey appearance. I think it's actually dangerously close to resembling actual food. Now, when it comes to consistency and feel, I'm really liking this one. I did stop after the 2 coats, and my end result looks delicious. It looks like I dipped my nail into the hot honey stuff. The sheerness and the self-leveling power of this polish are what I consider to be just right, and because of that, remember I said I had more plans for Pile of Leaves, so I decided to make a jelly sandwich using that and hot honey. I started off with 2 coats of hot honey, then 1 of Pile of Leaves, and topped it off with 1 more coat of hot honey to get this end result, which I think gives off such classic fall vibes. This is one you can definitely have a lot of nail art fun with in more than one way. So if you've been keeping track, then you probably know that our next pick is part of Crack's Necessities. Here we have the matte top coat. I decided to keep the jelly sandwich on because I think a good way to test the mattifying effect of a matte topper is to wear it over the shiniest polish you can find, and the flakies in Pile of Leaves are very, very shiny and shifty. So I am gonna speed this clip up, but you can still see how it starts to slowly transform, and personally, I found this matte top coat to be as effective as the ones I have been using consistently, which for me is a good thing. I never want to feel like I have to adjust to a new product, and this matte top coat just fits right in with my expectations. I'm just happy that I now have a cracked matte top coat to use over cracked ooze, which is one of my favorite polishes to wear mattified. Alright, and those were the swatches, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the prugly. I mainly want to focus on how this collection manages to feel autumnal and very fall appropriate without the excessive cozy and earthiness that tends to come along with these collections. Although the earthy tones, the cozy tones are still there, mainly with Mud Puddle and also with Unripe. However, the collection, I think, also speaks the language of like a bright and sunny and chilly October day, and I think that mainly comes through in flower pressing, which I'm wearing, if I can talk, right now, but this lighting is really bad. It also comes through in its corn and also even in pile of leaves. So as a person who tends to be repelled by earthy tones and really cozy tones, I really appreciate this one because we got more than that in this collection. So the seasonal behavior collection, this one launches on October 24th at 11 a.m. EST. It comes with the 6 polishes. Of course, the jelly of the month is not included in the seasonal behavior collection. All of these polishes are gonna retail for $10 to $13 on the Cracked website, and the matte top coat and the cuticle oil are gonna drop for $7 each. Before I go, if you had money for just one polish, I would go with Unripe. I would have gladly paid some money for this polish. If you had money for 2, I would add in flower pressing. If you have money for 3, I would add in pile of leaves. And you know what? If you had money for a 4th, I would go with It's Corn. I don't like yellow, but this is just pretty. It's pretty. It's pretty. All right, with that, I think I can go ahead and say my goodbye. So thank you so much for watching. You are literally the best for being here. Like, only the best people in the world watch my channel. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the hang and have a great day. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.